Hey, everybody. We are here with Lana Manikowski, and we are talking about the journey with IVF. And I hope you guys get to tune into yesterday's episode with Laura and Lana. It was a wonderful, very clear discussion of the journey. I think more and more people are starting to discuss these journeys. And, it's interesting for me as a man because I like to pretend I know what's going on with IVF when the subject comes up, but I don't. I don't often know what people are facing. And, I do often think that, it's really cool to be a woman and feel that, mothership or being a mother is this naturally given privilege. I think that as men we don't, we're not like we're builders and protectors. We're not life, So when you have to face not being able to have a child, and your story talks so subtly about the just expectation of naturally becoming a mother, and realizing at this point in your life that you were going to have this challenge in front of you. It's leveling on for even as a man to listen to the story and be like, oh wow, like now what, right?
Just like our podcast.
Yeah. You're a podcaster, you're an activist, you're a life coach, you're incredibly fun to listen to, and I'm not even really sure where to start. Other than
go ahead.
Yeah, please jump in. This is kind of one of those things, like I said, where I'm like, okay, so jump in, honey.
The one thing where I really thought about the two of us, and I kind of mentioned this in yesterday's episode, was that freedom that Lana talked about with her husband, embracing the idea that they can really be with each other and have fun,
right,
in their lives, and not like, and I was saying not like it's a door prize or but like this is it.
Right.
This is what we get. So we're not parents, but we do have this. And then you talked a little bit about learning to embrace that. And I thought, hon, that was kind of like your journey with me. because you have taught me so much about learning to embrace our time together. So I don't know if that's something you want to talk to Lana about.
I do, actually, and I was going to circle back to it, but I think the first thing I want to say is a lot of people don't get to have that. A lot of people don't make it through the 7 years as a couple because it's hard to see past it. And you're sharing your story and talking with people about the journey seems to offer hope to people where they might not have it. Are you finding that is like that you're working with a lot of people who are unable to have children but yet find another purpose after that?
It's usually one of the main things that people are seeking when they come to me for coaching, because they've always associated their purpose with motherhood. And one of the things that I think it's so important to remember is that you don't necessarily need to believe that you have one unique purpose for your whole life. And right. I think depending on who you talk to, I could have multiple purposes to multiple people and all of us in that. So I really try to help people to recognize that there's women out there who are moms, yet to other facets in their life, they have different purposes beyond motherhood or things that they've accomplished or a legacy that they've created that doesn't have anything to do with motherhood. So legacy and purpose are usually two of the biggest things that people are searching for when they can't have children or can't become a mom.
Sure. And you had a partner who was willing to go on that journey with you as well, because it feels to me that most men in this situation are supporting their wives as the primary legacy holder, right? Like we want to be parents, but I'm sure that, you want to be the mom. And let me know, what are some things, I'm sure you guys didn't do it perfectly, although maybe you did, because here you are, but
well, I don't know about that.
What are some things to help men along this journey that looking back, you might have done differently, or when you work with people, you remind them that there are alternative ways of handling stuff in a relationship?
I am glad that you asked that question, because I think a lot of times when the diagnosis is the female related, there's also a male factor infertility. So there's some men who
Right.
have infertility, and women have to still go through IVF, and they still go through the same cycles because there's a sperm extraction that's done, and then you still do the whole IVF cycle to create the embryo. And I would probably, if I think back to my own journey, would have checked in more with my husband. I just assumed because it was my body that wasn't doing what it was supposed to do, and I was the one who had all the medications and the doctor's appointments and the probing and the injections, that I didn't ever really ask how he was doing. And he never like made a big deal out of it, but knowing the heartache that he probably went through because his dream of fatherhood wasn't possible as well as my dream of motherhood, I would have probably done a better job of asking how he was doing through the process.
Right on. Yeah, I think we had a gentleman who talked about going through the process with his wife on the show, Clint Schaff. And you know, they had the good outcome. They had a kid. I think it was 8 years they were on that journey.
And they also use an egg donor.
Yeah, and they also used an egg donor. So that was was
Yeah.
an option that you didn't choose, an egg donor or adoption. And also you were diagnosed as unexplained
Yeah.
infertility.
Yep.
So it's a very abstract diagnosis.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, can you tell me a little bit about your process of accepting that diagnosis? Like the acceptance of, you know, because you tried for 7 years, you had, 30 some odd years of believing, oh, I'm going to be a mom or a parent. And then all of a sudden you really have to digest this piece of information. And what was that like for you?
Very isolating and very confusing. And I think that's really what's driven me to tell my story, is because I just wanted to know that there was another breathing, living human out there that had experienced this heartache. So for me, I felt myself being very disconnected from my friends with kids, because not because I wasn't happy for them, but because I just couldn't associate myself in these situations that were still so raw for me. So I found myself really recoiling, and I was always just out in the mix and the first one to say yes to an invitation to go on a girls' night or go here, there, and wherever. So it was very isolating for me. And I think that's really what has encouraged me to tell my story more, because I know that there are so many women that just want to know that a breathing human still is surviving and thriving, even though they weren't able to become a mom.
Yeah, and you talked about, you you nailed it. You said feeling like the only one in the room. I think, telling your story is, a friend of mine once said, telling your stories are bridges to connection, right? Once you let people know how you feel or what you went through or how you acted, then it gives them a chance to experience it with you. And it seems like such a powerful message for something that can be so sort of confusingly shaming for people.
Yes.
And then damaging. I'm sure during that time, it's hard not to resent people that are happy, people that have kids, and even people that try to console you and do it very uncomfortably. Can you maybe talk a little bit about walking through that? Because I often even can overhear people trying to be nice, trying to do the right thing, and just putting their foot in it in a way that silences the room. Is there anything you can offer us?
Well,
on
I
that?
think a lot of people are like, oh, you can have my kids, or they'll try to say, oh, it's motherhood isn't what it's cracked up to be. You're so lucky. There's all these offerings, and I'd lump that in with the "you can always adopt" comment that is so commonly offered.
Right. I mean, I think that's my go-to, but now I know better, by the way.
Yeah. And I think it's just people's way of giving sympathy and giving support. And just like when you tell someone that someone passed away and they say, oh, I'll pray for you. And I would say to my students, what percentage do you think really pray for you?
Right.
And people feel like they need to offer you something. So I've really done a lot of work, and I try to help my community understand that people are coming at it from a sense of love and not from judgment. And the judgment comes from what we believe about ourselves and our story. And that comes from doing the work to decide what your story is and what you want to believe about yourself, and if people can be wrong about you, and it's the glory in it.
What can people do better? What could they possibly do better? How could you support someone going through this in a way that doesn't put you at odds with the very person you're trying to support?
Well, I think a lot of it is more listening, and I think we're just a solution-based in a society that we always want to offer something or give someone something that they can work from. And when you're going through this, you just sometimes need someone to listen and let you cry and let you be raw and not judge and try to make things better, because
Right on.
yeah, you just need a listening ear sometimes.
That's so often the answer, right? In so many of
Yes.
those uncomfortable situations. Now, I will circle back to what Laura said, because I did hear in the interview that you had to sort of refocus on your relationship afterwards, and this will kind of take us out. But so, what are some of the gifts of this phase of your life? What are some of the things that you didn't see coming in that battle that you are extremely happy to have in your life currently?
Well, I think prioritizing my time, not from a sense of I should be doing this, but that I really I get to do this, is definitely a shift. And I think also in a corporate environment, there's opportunities where I could take these jobs that would take me away, on 4 days a week, sleeping in a hotel, jet setting, going here, there, and wherever. And I've decided that I don't want to have a life like that. And for us, since we don't have kids and it's the two of us, I want to be able to be home and maybe travel every once in a while, but I don't want to have this ship in the night type of relationship with somebody, because we don't have that common thread of children to keep us together. I think it's really important for me to prioritize that time and do more things and make more considerations about our life choices based on the two of us, instead of financial and advancement and things that sound good on paper but really aren't going to give me the nourishment in my relationship that I'm seeking.
Yeah, Laura and I like to say that we choose every day to be together. We're not committed to something that
We're not obligated.
Yeah, we're not obligated to something that
Yes.
has a time set. So then we have to refocus on the relationship. We choose each day to be together, and that's been, I think, what Laura was saying, the second chance we got in this lifetime to have a relationship.
Well, you're a
And
beautiful
it feels
couple.
like, thank you so
Aw,
much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on this. You guys check out the So Now What podcast with Lana, and check out the episode yesterday. And thank you so much for being on the show with us, Lana.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
right.
you.
All right, we'll see ya.